And and in case of any discrepancies in my audios or anything else, you can just put it over the chat box or immediately give me some reactions so that it won't mind our session today. Uh, so, so basically, HACCP is nothing but hazard analysis critical control points. So we all know as a food technologist, I hope many of you are food technologists over here and who are pursuing the degree. It's nothing but hazard analysis critical control points. When there is some issue over any process or a product, we have to accomplish this system. It is one of the major steps in any food processing industry, or not even a food process, any manufacturing or any productions zone all over the globe. So let's get into the topic of what all the things I will be covering in this session. Just let me give a very keen about only the slides are only below 30, so no need to worry about it. So first, I'll be giving an introduction about the food safety in HACCP, then about those principles and the origin of history of HACCP, then about the prerequisite programs, and next a detailed script on the principles of HACCP, and finally moving on to the implementation maintenance of HACCP, and a few points which is needed for internal and external audits of HACCP, and final slide, which will be a bonus slide for the students. So, without any delay, let's move into the intro part. So, we all know what food safety is nothing but validated validation of verification of safety of any food materials. So, it all covers all these categories of consumer hazards, inspection, health, eatability, microorganisms, safety, certification. So all these things comes under one umbrella called food safety. So when there is a product prepared or a food prepared or any of the processing happening inside a food a manufacturing unit must undergo certain hygiene and certain points of safety to complete the process of uh, quality checking. So this food safety is nothing but a technical word to prevent any foodborne diseases or any hazards in the form of biological, chemical, or physical, which may be prone to contaminate any food under any category of process, whether it starts from raw materials or during the processing or during packaging or storage or any level of supply chain management system. So this food safety is a combined responsibility. That is, it not only depends upon the producers or the manufacturers. It comes from the raw material suppliers, then it goes on to the producers, then the distributors who all involved in the logistic chain, and finally the consumers, that is us. So we all combine together and share this food safety part. So if any mishappening under any stage from the raw material to the consumption is defect to a food safety. So it's not that only the producer is responsible for the food safety. So that's why the concept of farm to fork comes into our food safety. And when the elements, that is the important factors which are essential for food safety are the public health and the economic impact, then the trade and development. So let's say some example. So we all are under the generation of post-corona. So when the corona affected all over the globe, there were a very certain precautions undergone in the food safety. That is especially the food habits all are having. So there is a turnover onto the habits. So eventually, everyone turned into a traditional or a very healthy food habits from junk. So that comes under the shift in the food habits. So why there is a shift? Because of the term safety. So especially when safety comes into mind, the safety, disease, and the population, everything correlates and gets into a big bundle of stuff. Where when one is affected, another goes down, another goes down. So when the trade of foodborne diseases occurred into the globe, there may be a connection which affects the vulnerable population. Vulnerable is nothing but very weak populations. We all know that is old age and the infants and the people with certain epidemic diseases. So this is one of the element which comes in the mind when it comes to food safety. And second is the economic impact. We all know economic is nothing but the country growth, the global growth. So when there is a food safety defect or when there is a decline in food safety of any product or whatever it is, there comes the consequences of foodborne disease. There comes the consequences of pharmaceutical improvements. So when the pharmaceutical tablets or all those medicals healthcare system get into the way when there is a drop in the food safety system. And the same way, there is productivity loss inside the manufacturing food manufacturers. So this is totally inversely proportional elements. That is, when the economic growth depends upon the food safety, it also depends upon the healthcare system. And finally comes the trade and development. We all know international market is plays a major role in any production or manufacturing unit. So when there is a decline in food safety or recall of any products, the trade comes into first priority. So there is a decline in the market value of that product, and the reputation goes off. So it is directly proportional. So when the food safety must be taken into first account, it directly depends upon the market value of any product and its allied products. So when food safety comes in mind, the next thing is the global standards which get into the line. That is, first it's the Codex Alimentarius. So we all know what is called a Codex Alimentarius. It's nothing but the food code as certain standards which is needed to practice of any consumers or any manufacturers of food product unit. So where this codex come into the play is nothing but the HACCP comes under the umbrella of Codex. So the all the rules and regulations which are followed onto the HACCP are governed by the Codex uh, body. So priorly, what are the major aspects of our codex is nothing but it continues the food safety and fair trade practices and all the transparency in the stockholders and the all prevention of contaminants and the food hygiene, all aspects of pesticides. So now, till now, I had covered codex, food safety, and all these stuff. So why it is related to HACCP? Is there any answers? I hope all participants are right. If so, anyone can just raise your hand and get me a link between HACCP and this codex. Anyone?
Principles of HACCP are approved under Codex.
Madam, voice not came, madam.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Can I get any answer?
Madam, again ask question, madam.
That is, I talked about codex, food safety, all those things before getting into HACCP topic. So what is the link between HACCP and this codex? Can anyone guess it out? Apart from what I told.
All principles of HACCP are published in Codex as a global document.
Okay. Okay, fine. Any other answers apart from that? Okay, fine. Among 125, at least I got one awakening call. Thank you so much. So this codex, as he told, it is a governing body. So that is nothing more about that. Just I want to awake all of you. So next, I want to get into the history of HACCP. So we all know the full form of HACCP and all those stuff. Why, and how HACCP originated? Uh, is there any answer? At least let me ask only one word for a question. Which country was it first hosted? Where it originated? Which country? Any guesses?
USA,
USA, madam.
USA. Uh, okay.
NASA, and Pisbury.
Yeah, almost. Yeah, almost right. So it's the start point of HACCP was NASA, Pillsbury. So we all know we all have Pillsbury atta at our home. Almost all, not all. Okay, almost all of us used Pillsbury at least once in our lifetime. Pillsbury atta or Pillsbury brownie cake, whatever it is. So it was a long, long ago a story which originated in 1960, that is before a year, 1959. So when NASA was researching on the food safety regarding the space food, it all started over there. So when they were trying to find out a proper standard operations for space food, it all started over there. So, why is that Pillsbury involved in that? We all know NASA, Pillsbury, and FDA had a very wide collaboration. I mean, not FDA, United Army had a wide collaboration during those days for space programs. So, Pillsbury had a recall product, which all started from Farina. Farina is nothing but one of their recall products like Cerelac in our language. So it was the infant cereal food, which was filled with wheat, hot cream and wheat. So why the product was recalled was there were small glass pieces over there inside the packed food. So that was the reason why the product was recalled. So from there, this started over. So the Pillsbury adopted a few standard regulations to prevent this recall and also to find out the origin of hazard, where it all started, and how to rectify it, how to document it for further preventions of such hazards. So year by year, it got built up, and there were few trainings and sessions conducted during 1972, where it was officially published that HACCP will be followed by all the regulatory bodies to prevent, to find out a hazard or to control any hazard points over a production level or processing level. So as years go by, there is improvement in all the trade and standards. So
Ma'am?
laws name, yes, yes.
Ma'am, actually, we can't able to see your PPT.
Okay, fine, fine.
Ah,
Yeah, yeah. Now is it okay?
yes, ma'am, it's visible.
Sorry, it got disconnected. Sorry. Thank you. Okay, so as
Okay, ma'am.
years go by, there was further improvements in HACCP levels, and finally, it was undertaken by Codex to stabilize it and globalize it. And now we have a very fine 7 principles of HACCP, which is followed all over the globe. So let's move into those very fine level of 7 principles. The first one is the identification of hazard, and the next is critical control points determination. Next is critical limits. Next, monitoring those critical control points. The next is corrective actions, and next is the verification methods, and finally the documentation and the record keeping. These all we would have studied all under the syllabus of food technology itself. Why so? It's boring. So just I want to make sure with a live example, in case of you being interactive. So let's go on to first one by one principle. These are the 12 subsequent stages of HACCP where you can understand step-by-step level of finding an hazard till the correcting and rectification until it is not repeated. First is we assemble a HACCP team. HACCP team is nothing but responsible personnel which would be appointed in every unit to keep an eye on the production or any hazard levels. And next comes all those 7 principles, which is broken down into simpler steps and given in a wide way. So first, before moving into the principles, there must be a basement, which is nothing but prerequisite programs. So all this GMP, GHP, GAP, sorry, in GMP P is missing. So GMP is nothing but good manufacturing practice, HP is nothing but hygiene, AP is nothing but agricultural practices. So all these things come under the basement of any critical analysis procedure. So SSOP is nothing but sanitation standard operation procedure. So this is also similar to the hygiene practices. So this forms the baseline for any food safety management system, that is FSMS. So the next step is your HACCP and finally goes on to your food safety management system. So all these together form a wonderful pyramid, so which must be rectified under the base level itself, that is the GMP, GHP, GA. So just I'll give a simple flowchart of GMP. So these are the few points which must be considered as principles of GMP while coming onto the any manufacturing unit, any instructions for manufacturing, and then comes for the written instructions and verbal instructions, which has to be followed by all the personnel, all the workers of the unit. And then comes the equipmental maintenance or equipmental system, which has to be properly maintained or checked at least in regular intervals. Then comes the product or the process, which must be free from any adulteration, and it must undergo a proper quality check. And finally comes your validation and your compliance. Compliance is nothing but which is a final validation for any product or a process. So after this basement level, that is the GMP, GHP, and GAP, we have to move on to the next preliminary steps to analyze to analyze the HACCP work. That is, we have to appoint a separate team for HACCP work, which includes the food safety officials and along with the base level workers. Then we have to describe about that product and the process and how the flow goes on till the distribution, that is the logistic level. Next, we have to give the intended use and the consumers of the food. We have to describe about the product, whether it goes into the market directly to the consumer or it goes stage-wise through through the last fork of the plate. And next comes through the flow diagram, which describes the process. That is a simpler way which can be understood by any teammate of the HACCP. And finally, we have to verify the flow diagram, whether it is in an appropriate way so that we could go on with the next step. So these are the basic preliminary steps, not only for HACCP, it is a common thing for any problem solving technique. So let's move on to the first principle, that is the hazard analysis. So for finding out any problem in whatever discrepancies in a product or a process, the first step is that we have to find whether there is a hazard or whether it is applicable as a hazard or whether it is serious or it is negligible. So this is the first step. So when it comes to hazard, it can be a physical, chemical, or a biological mode of any product. So a basic example is when cooking a meat. So there may be a sorry, there may be microbial hazards. For example, cooking beef can contain salmonella in it. So what is the hazard over here is the microbial hazard, that is salmonella. And what can it occur? What can it cause if nothing but a foodborne disease and contamination of food?
Madam, I have a small doubt, madam. Hello?
Yeah, sir. Please, yes, please.
Madam, cooking potential hazard, listeria also potential hazard, madam. Listeria.
Yes, sir. It depends upon the food product. So just I have taken example for beef and poultry. So listeria is also one of the major microbial
For
organisms.
prawns.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay, madam.
Okay.
Continue.
Yeah. So for beef, the salmonella and the enteric E. coli is one of the major microbial hazard. So it can cause a foodborne disease and a contamination. So it is whether we have to check whether it is a confirmed hazard or not. That is yes or no. So when it is a yes, then it comes under the next step. When it is a no, then we have to go for checking for next hazard, whether there is any other microbial. If I have not mentioned Salmonella E. coli in this chapter, if I'm mentioning a non-virulent bacteria or a non-hazardous bacteria into this list, then the hazard to be addressed in the plan will get no. For example, if we take a milk as a product, so milk will contain very basic microorganism. Can anyone name it? Anyone? Very famous microorganism which is present in milk or milk products.
Lactic acid bacteria.
Yeah, lactic acid bacteria. So when I take the step here as pasteurization of milk. So when I go for the potential hazard, when I mention lactic acid bacteria over here, then the justification would be nil. So it doesn't cause a foodborne disease. So the hazard here addressed is no. So then I have to go for the next step, that is identifying of any other hazard apart from lactic acid bacteria. So if I find out Clostridium or E. coli or any other aerobic bacteria into the milk, then my justification would be foodborne illness, and then goes the plan of yes. Then next step is the control measure. So the pasteurization must be rectified, whether there is any technical issue or whatever it is. It will be discussed in the next principle. So the first one is finding out the hazard. So where the hazard, that is what is the hazard and what is the justification of the hazard. So this is some few examples. So let's move on to the next principle, that is CCP, that is critical control point. So by the name itself, we can easily find out critical is nothing but very crucial or very important. It can't be either or. It is the midpoint where it is a limit where it can't exceed or that is decrease or increase. It is the exact point where it has to be governed or it has to be taken care. So, for example, let us take the same example of beef. So, cooking of poultry, we need a temperature of 165 degrees to kill the bacteria. That is to kill the hazardous, harmful bacteria in the poultry, that is chicken or meat or whatever it is. So, if the temperature, the cooking temperature is not 165 degrees Celsius, then uh, then there occurs a CCP, that is declining CCP. Yes, if the temperature is not exactly into that level, then comes the second level of hazard analysis. That is where critical control point has to be rectified over there. So it can be any critical control points. For example, if I take B, this thermal processing, that is the temperature where it comes under critical control points. When I go for milk or any chilled product, then it goes for the chilling temperature. So basically the chilling temperature is nothing but 4 degrees. That is the temperature of chiller would be 4 to 7 degrees, and the temperature of freezer would be minus 18 degrees, and where the temperature of deep freezer would be minus 40 degrees. So each temperature comes into point for different types of products. So when the temperature of that product at that condition doesn't fall on to the range, then there is a rectification of CCP required over that process. So then, so after finding the CCP, next we have to move on to the next thing, that is this decision tree. So this is an example of decision tree. Decision tree is not a mandatory one for the critical control points, but it helps to find out the exact hazard and the critical points for any process or any product. So, for example, if there is a hazard, we can look into the decision tree. If there is any hazard, if it is yes, then we go to the next process, that is how to measure the hazard. If it is no, so there is no requirement for the next step or the CCP step. So we can be chill and we can just leave that hazard. We no need to consider it as a hazard. So when the hazard is there, we have to look on to the control measure. Then next step comes how to eliminate, whether elimination is required or it is in the acceptable limit. Yes, if it is in the acceptable limit, then it is not needed. For example, I told for milk, when the lab is present, then it is not considered as a hazard. If any other aerobic bacteria, we all know FSSI have a very limit for aerobic bacteria. If it falls into that limit, then there is no requisition for the next step of CCP. If it is exceeding the acceptable limit, then goes for the CCP. So that's how a decision tree comes into the chapter. So it can be very useful for the preliminary learners or the HACCP team when there is a quick skimming of any hazard or documentation purpose. So the next step is the establish of the critical limits, that is CL. So after finding out your critical point, so we have to go for the critical limits. That is, as we told, whether it is in a range. That is, the critical limit is nothing but the minimum or the maximum range for any hazard. That is, if we go for the cooking of the poultry, when the range is, when the critical point is 165 degrees Celsius, the range could be above 165, but it should not come below 165. That is what meant by critical limits. Yes. So when the limit is reducing below the critical point, then the critical limits must be governed and rectified. So this is how critical limit play a major role in the HACCP. So there's an example. So not only temperature, while cooking poultry or any food product, the oven temperature, then the rate of heating and cooling, the patty. If we are making a patty or a product which is related to the poultry, so the thickness of the patty, the meat, which also matters, and the composition, how it is having a, whether it is having a high humidity, high moisture level, or a bearable one, or a dried product. The composition matters, and also the humidity, the relative humidity also comes into picture while establishing these critical limits. So when it falls under the maximum limit, then the corrective measure would be taken. That is the next step. That is monitoring procedure. Once we find out hazard, critical points and the limits, we don't directly go into action. So, for example, when we have to, when there was a robbery or something else, so a few people directly go into action, get hit, again come back and then go for a police complaint, whatever it is. But smart people, they will just wait for few seconds and then analyze what is moving on there, whether he has another colleague who is involved in robbery. Then he will go for the checking where it started, how it started. Then finally he get into the corrective or a verification method. So that is how it matters in the HACCP also. So establishing monitoring procedure is nothing but first you have to track the operation from where it started, from where the hazard originated and how it started. Then you have to look on to the range of the limits, that is the minimum and the maximum limits. You have to go for a repetitive measurements, whether the limit is similar or same or different in all the intervals. Then you have to go for the deviation. If there is the range doesn't come under the same or similar category, if there is a variation in the range, then you have to go for the deviation. You have to check for the deviation. How much deviation is there? How much loss is there? Then you have to get into the then you have to bring all those, consolidate into the critical limit, and then finally you have to take the verification step. That is, for example, if we are going for a milk, pasteurization of milk, so the hazard is analyzed in the first step. That is the procurement of the raw material. That is when the cans are collected from the farms and comes into the dairy unit. So the hazard is analyzed over there. That is, we can take an example of blood or a serum in the milk. So there is no proper level of filtration. So it directly comes into the pasteurization process and finally packed milk. When the consumer complains on the packed milk, that is, there is a serum or pus over the milk. So there comes the analysis point. So where it started? From the procurement. So we have to find where it started from the procurement. Then we have to analyze whether the same batch of milk have the similar issue. Then we have to go for the exact critical point. That is, whether it was identified during the filtration process or it was only cross contamination during the next processing of milk. So then we have to get on to the limits. So whether the limits, that is the critical limits, are applicable here or not, then we have to go for the measuring action. Next is the rectification action. That is either eliminating the entire batch of milk or eliminating at the process where the mistake had happened, either in the packaging or in the storage level. That is before packaging. So this is how we have to find the monitoring procedure. This monitoring procedure is very important because it would prevent the repetitive hazard. That is, it would prevent whether it will not allow the same hazard and the same technique of same process to be repeated in this HACCP. So this helps in a very proper documentation of any HACCP plan. So next comes your final action is corrective measure. So we have identified the hazard. There is a mistake over there, so we have to correct it. So this correction method have three important elements. That is, first you have to determine and correct the cause of non-compliance. That is, when it comes to a product, it must be a compliance. Compliance is nothing but it goes in correlation with the process and the final consumer plate. So when there is any error or any difference in the graph of the compliance, then there is a drop in the market value. So first we have to determine the cost where it started. Then we have to go for the disposition. Disposition is nothing but we have to rectify it. Either we have to reduce or we have to completely eliminate the hazard. And next goes for the recording of the correct action. So once we did a correct action, it's not that we just skip it. We have to record it so that it is not repeated further. It will be useful for our next hazard analysis if the hazard is a similar one or the same one. So the next is nothing but verification procedures. That is, we have to document, you have to validate, not document, you have to validate each results. For example, just a minute. Yeah, sorry. So next is our verification process. So we have done the corrective measure, but we have to check whether it is a valid one, which is the correct one according to the standard or not. Whether we have implemented in a right way according to the standards, according to the global standards or not. So which codex comes into play. So according to the global body, so we have to sequence our HACCP plan, whether it is valid, it is verified. Then we have to go for the final process, which is a documentation process. So this is done by the experts. It can be done by the normal HACCP team. So it should have a knowledgeable experts on the scientists. That is especially the R&D team where it comes into play during the verification process. And next, the implant observation, measurements, and evaluations also comes into play. So apart from personnel, the unit that is the location of the unit and the measurements, that is whatever records we have taken, all this comes into play into the verification process. So by cross-checking all the mishappenings and the earlier hazards and the earlier plans, the verification will be validated. So this is an example for the verification schedule. So first one is verification activity, how it is done frequently, yearly. So mainly the HACCP coordinator will be responsible. That is one of the teammates who acts as a lead will be responsible for that scheduling of the verification. And next is initial validation. So after verification, there comes the first checking. That is whether we have done a correct thing or not. That validation will be done by the independent expert. So independent expert will be present inside an industry, usually industrial person and R&D expert. And next comes the subsequent validation. It is also done by the R&D expert, independent experts. And next comes the verification of the CCP monitoring as described in this plan. That is, here an example of patty cooking is done. Patty is nothing but uh, uh, a stuffed product of meat or any uh, poultry product. And according to that, this can be done by the supervisor, that is the person who is in the process line. The next is the review of the monitoring and the corrective action. It can be done by the QA personnel, that is the quality assurance. And next, the comprehensive HACCP system verification. This also can be done by the R&D expert, either yearly or twice in a year. So after this, the entire validation can be completed. And next is your record keeping or documentation, the final principle. So after that, we have to keep a good record of all the steps which occurred in this HACCP, that is starting from the hazard analysis till your verification. So all these records would be used for training your employees and also for frequent checking of our processes, whether we are doing in a correct way, whether the hazards are not repeated. The main motive of this record keeping is that it shouldn't be repeated. That is, once a hazard is identified and a corrective measure is taken, it shouldn't be repeated. That's the purpose of this record keeping and verification. So that's how it matters on to the improved growth of any industry or globalization of an industry. So next is before going into this, I just want to make a small gist. That is, we all saw the 7 principles of HACCP. So can anyone give me an example of a recall product? Any recall product in recent days, not earlier, long ago. A recent days recall product.
Maggie, ma'am.
That's what I told, not long ago. I don't want
Everest.
1980s. Yes,
Everest masala.
Everest masala. It's not in the market now. Are you sure? Any other? Okay,
Ma'am,
Everest we'll keep aside.
ORS.
ORS. Yes, ORS is a brand. So it's not a product. So, ORS we can keep aside. Any other? Which is very close to food product.
Patanjali.
Patanjali, I think if any government officials are there in this meeting, either the meeting would be ended or I would be ended. So let's go on to another product. Okay, fine. So we'll keep these two products, Everest and ORS. So Everest, so where it started? Why there is a recall? The person who told Everest, is there any answer for it? Not only the person, anyone can also answer it. Why there is any guesses? This is not a quiz competition or whatever it is, just an interactive session. Any guesses where it started, Everest? Or why the recall of Everest happened? Or some can deny whether there is a recall or not also. Just quick, please.
Ma'am, I think there was some pesticide found in one of the masala of Everest. Fish curry masala,
Okay.
I think.
Oh, okay. Is it exact reason? Any or any other reasons?
Uh,
due to high amount of ethylene
High amount of ethylene.
ethylene oxide.
Oxide.
Ethylene oxide. You Googled, huh?
No, there was some
Okay.
news also.
Okay. fine. So it's too technical. So whether it's banned in India or any other nation? I think this is very easy answer.
It was banned in Singapore and Hong Kong, I think.
Yeah. So technically speaking, it's not banned in our nation. So that's what I want to mention here. As a food technologist, we are aware that there is some issue in that food product. We are going up to the level of thinking. Yes, anyone want to talk? Yeah. Okay. So we are going up to the level of ethylene oxide, pesticides, then okay, fish curry masala, whatever it is. But still, it is not it is not completely eradicated. There is no awareness among all the people regarding this food safety measure, why it is banned, why there is a recall. We all remember that Everest uncle who comes and dances over the advertisement. So it is so tasty. We all take it and eat. So still there are few housemates who are using the same masala. Still there are shops which sell those masala illegally. So why I want to take it into the point is this learning HACCP, going into the syllabus, all these things is uh, apart from the graduation. So as a food technologist, we have to take at least initial measures so that the awareness comes from our house. It comes around in and around us. Yes. So that's a simple note I want to give it here. And speaking about ORS, it is so much very famous that single doctor who took years and years of hard work to eradicate that ORS completely in our nation. But still it's pertaining. So let's make that also clear that it start from us. So now go on to the topic implementation and maintenance of HACCP plan. That is the first thing is topic management commitment. So when it comes to the HACCP plan, the the management, that is the manufacturer, the producer must be the first ever into the list to make sure that it's implemented inside the industry, inside the production unit. Then only it would be followed by the other personnel, quality people, R&D, or next finally comes to the consumer. So when the top level management takes that commitment, then the success rate is very high. Next is the HACCP coordinator, all the personnel, all the managers who are involved inside the HACCP team has to be a well-trained personnel. The training has to be given to those team members to eradicate a hazard completely so that it is not repeated. The next comes into the product specific team. So when I tell about a large manufacturing unit, for example, let's take about this masala itself. The masala manufacturing unit is there in any masala manufacturing unit. It is not that they produce only one product. It goes for different flavor products, different size of the product, and different ingredients which are used, different raw materials, different type of processing, thermal or non-thermal, dried, paste, and so many things. So each product level team must be appointed to eradicate the hazard in that particular product during the particular process. So product specific teams must be implemented. Next comes all these sixth and seventh step, that is monitoring and the documentation purpose. When the records are kept in a line in a proper way, then there is no repetitive HACCP plans required for any hazards. Next is your continuous monitoring and record keeping, which plays a very important role. And finally, you're updating your HACCP plan. That is updating your personals, updating your training manuscripts, so that it's not in an old trend. So we have to keep updated the entire personnel staff and the whole industry to 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 quickly eradicate any hazard or to prevent it. You can easily take a preventive measures. So this is about the implementation of HACCP. And finally is the audits, that is internal and external audits. So first is internal. We all know audits is nothing but checking over or inspections. So it comes under two categories. One is internal and next is the external. So internal is nothing but it is under the inside the organization, that is inside an industry. So it can be just similar to your internal assessment, which is done inside your college or whatever it is. So a few leniencies would be given, and a few corrective measures may not be rectified in a serious manner because they know the process. Yes. So when there is record keeping and monitoring of the similar hazard, then it would be used that and it may be considered not as a hazard. So when there is external audits happening inside an industry, then the simpler or the non-hazardous process also can be taken into account and can be rectified as a HEC can be rectified. So this also plays a major role in terms of audits, that is external audits. So usually external audits would be conducted by the government body or any regulatory authority. And it is very standard or very strict also, we can tell. So these certifications are very important for any industry to grow in the market and to keep the compliance up to level for the consumer demand. And finally, so is there any queries in this small lecture, that is principles of HACCP? So if any queries, we will move on in 5 minutes. So before that, I want to give a small bonus information for the students. That is, there are few certification courses which can be done for any level of competence. That is QCI, that is Quality Council of India, is giving such courses, which is very valid for the students. There are many courses which are available online. So these courses can help you to upgrade yourself and also uh, to train yourself as an individual auditors. Another is the Faculty of Food Safety and Quality. This is also a government recognized body, so which also give so many programs and courses regarding food safety and HACCP. So these also help the students to upgrade yourself to maintain a organization level of confidence to get into any industry or to maintain entrepreneurship to yourself and get on to the business level. So these are the two important that is very regularly used government bodies. So always food safety is always interconnected with the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. So why I'm telling this is not only food genre, food sector, even the Ministry of Commerce and Industry also can give great opportunities for food industry or food background students. So this is what I want to conclude. So I thank all of you for listening a lot. And I hope you would analyze few points over there and upgrade yourself from the very few important
So
knowledge
much,
which I gave
Divyashree
you.
ma'am, for the
Yeah, thank you so much. So if any doubts or queries, I'm open to it.
Madam, please share this training class PDF, madam.
Yeah, sure. I would share it, sir. Yeah.
Thanks, madam.
And any other doubts apart from HACCP or whatever it is, feel free to discuss over here. I hope all were at least listening from very far distance. At least something you have gained over there. At least any doubts? Any other doubts you want to ask?
If anyone has any doubts or queries, you can unmute your mic and ask. Okay. Okay, then we'll close the session. I now request Ms. Meenakshi, Assistant Professor, Department of Food Technology, to propose vote of thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. At this juncture, I take this opportunity to express a sincere gratitude to all those who contributed to the successful conduction of today's session. I extend our heartfelt thanks to our esteemed resource person, Dr. Divyashree, for graciously accepting our invitation and for delivering an enlightening and thought-provoking session. Your expertise, clarity of presentation, and valuable insight have greatly enriched the learning experience of all participants. We also thank all the participants for their keen interest and active participation, which added significant value and made this session engaging and effective. With this, we formally conclude today's program. Thank you all.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, now we'll close the meeting.